Dear students and viewers, Assalamu alaikum. How are you? Hope all of you are fine. I am Mahmudul Hassan Masood, lecturer, Department of English, Narsindi Government College, Narsindi. Today, I am going to take my second class on Long Walk to Freedom, an autobiography written by Nelson Mandela. Hope you will enjoy my class. Let's start our class. I welcome you again to my class. Long Walk to Freedom. Dear students, this class has been designed for the students of Honors First Year, Department of English. Course title, Introduction to Prose, Fiction and Non-Fiction. Course code 231107. Topic, Long Walk to Freedom. Dear students, you can see a copy of the book, Long Walk to Freedom, Lecture 2. Dear students, in my lecture today, I am going to talk about only Long Walk to Freedom, the autobiography of Nelson Mandela. Before going to main discussion, let us know what is an autobiography. Dear students, you know what is an autobiography? An autobiography is the life story of a person written by the person himself. So you can see an autobiography is a book. It tells the life story of a person. The life story is written by the person himself or herself. So you find Long Walk to Freedom, as it is an autobiography. It is written by Nelson Mandela himself. Long Walk to Freedom, the autobiography of Nelson Mandela. Dear students, you can see the cover page of the book, Long Walk to Freedom, when it was first published in 1994. At a glance, we will know about the book. Author, Nelson Mandela. Cover artist, Alan Tannenbaum. Language, English. Subject, autobiography. Genre, non-fiction. Publisher, MacDonald Parnell. Publication date, 1994. Long Walk to Freedom. Long Walk to Freedom is an autobiography written by South African President Nelson Mandela and first published in 1994 by Little Brown and Company. What does the book tell us? What does the book profile? Long Walk to Freedom, the autobiography of Nelson Mandela, profiles Mandela's early life, his coming of age, his education, and 27 years in prison. You know, under the apartheid government of South Africa, Mandela was regarded as a terrorist and jailed on the infamous Robben Island for his role as a leader of the then outlawed ANC, African National Congress. He later achieved international recognition for his leadership as president in building the country's once segregated society. The last chapters of the book describe his political ascension and his belief that the struggle still continued against apartheid in South Africa. Dear students, I'm going to say that Long Walk to Freedom, the autobiography of Nelson Mandela, tells us about the early life of Nelson Mandela, his youth, his education, and his 27 years of imprisonment. It also tells us his struggle against apartheid. It tells us his leadership quality. The world recognized his leadership quality. He rebuilt South Africa. As you know, once the South Africa was segregated, was a segregated country. People were separated or segregated by the white government. People are divided into different races by the government. Particularly, the black people are oppressed cruelly. The white people got privileged in the country, and Nelson Mandela fought against this inhuman policy of apartheid, in which a race is underprivileged. On the other hand, another race got privilege. Long Walk to Freedom. Contents. What are the contents of the book Long Walk to Freedom? Dear students, you will see there are 11 parts of the book Long Walk to Freedom. I'm going to tell you the names of each part. Part 1, A Country Childhood. Part 2, Johannesburg. Part 3, Birth of Freedom Fighter. Part 4, The Struggle is My Life. Part 5, Treason. Part 6, The Black Pimpernel. Part 7, Rivonia. Part 8, Robben Island, The Dark Years. Part 9, Robben Island, Beginning to Hope. Part 10, Talking with the Enemy. Part 11, Freedom. And there is also an index at the end of the book. So these are 11 parts of the book. Nelson Mandela named these parts. Let's see what we have next. Dedication. So Nelson Mandela dedicated this book to some of his very near and dear ones, to some of his comrades whom he loved and appreciated highly. Nelson Mandela wrote about the dedication of the book Long Walk to Freedom in his own words. Let's see what he has written about the dedication of the book. In his own words, Mandela said, I dedicate this book to my 6 children, Madiba and Makajiwe, who are now deceased, and to Makagatho, Makaziwe, Jinani, and Jinzi, whose support and love I treasure, to my 21 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren who give me great pleasure, and to all my comrades, friends, and fellow South Africans whom I serve and whose courage, determination, and patriotism remain my source of inspiration. So this is the dedication of the book Long Walk to Freedom. Nelson Mandela dedicated his book to this affectionate, to these beloved persons who actually always encouraged him, who helped him to continue his struggle in life. Dear students, now we will know about the acknowledgements of the book Long Walk to Freedom. You know, Nelson Mandela has paid a great gratitude to the persons who helped him to write this book, to publish this book. Let's see what he has written. about the acknowledgements of the book Long Walk to Freedom. Mandela says, as readers will discover, this book has a long history. I began writing it clandestinely in 1974 during my imprisonment on Robben Island. Without the tireless labor of my old comrades Walter Sisulu and Ahmed Kathrada for reviving my memories, it is doubtful the manuscript would have been completed. The copy of the manuscript which I kept with me was discovered by the authorities and confiscated. However, in addition to their unique calligraphic skills, my co-prisoners Mac Maharaj and Ishu Chiva had ensured that the original manuscript safely reached its destination. I resumed work on it after my release from prison in 1990. So dear students, we can see Nelson Mandela started writing his book Long Walk to Freedom when he was in imprisonment on Robben Island. Actually, the writing and the publishing of the book has a long history, as Mandela says. He at first pays his great tribute to Walter Sisulu and Ahmed Kathrada, who helped him reviving his memories. Then he paid tribute to Mac Maharaj and Ishu Chiva, who actually spent long time in imprisonment with Nelson Mandela on Robben Island. And then Nelson Mandela wrote later parts of his book when he was released from prison in 1990. Mandela says, since my release, my schedule has been crowded with numerous duties and responsibilities, which have left me little free time for writing. Fortunately, I have had the assistance of dedicated colleagues, friends, and professionals who have helped me complete my work at last, and to whom I would like to express my appreciation. I am deeply grateful to Richard Stengel, who collaborated with me in the creation of this book, providing invaluable assistance in editing and revising the first parts and in the writing of the later parts. He pays tribute to Richard Stengel here. Then he says, I recall with fondness our early morning walks in the Transkei and the many hours of interviews at Shell House in Johannesburg and my home in Houghton. A special tribute is owed to Mary Paff, who assisted Richard in his work. I have also benefited from the advice and support of Fatima Mir, Peter Magbane, Nadine Gordimar, and Ezekiel Mfa Lele. I want to thank especially my comrade Ahmed Kathrada for the long hours spent revising, correcting, and giving accuracy to the story. Many thanks to my ANC office staff who passionately dealt with the logistics of the making of this book, but in particular to Barbara Masakela for her efficient coordination. Likewise, Iqbal Mir has devoted many hours to watching over the business aspects of the book. I am grateful to my editor, William Phillips of Little Brown, who has guided this project from early 1990 on and edited the text, and to his colleagues, Jordan Pavlin, Steve Snyder, Mike Mathill, and Donna Peterson. I would also like to thank Professor Gail Gerhardt for her factual review of the manuscript. Students, these are the persons to whom Nelson Mandela paid a great tribute, great gratitude for their help to Nelson Mandela so that he could publish his book successfully. International acclaim for Long Walk to Freedom. Dear students, after the publication of the book Long Walk to Freedom in 1994, the book was accepted internationally. People praised it highly. Let's see some of the remarks, some of the comments made by the people on the book Long Walk to Freedom. At first, this is a splendid book. Justice, freedom, goodness, and love have prevailed spectacularly in South Africa, and one man has embodied that struggle and its vindication. This is his story and the story of that struggle and the people's victory. It is a fitting monument. It will help us never to forget, lest we in our turn repeat the ghastliness of apartheid, says Desmond Tutu, a famous South African theologian who was also an anti-apartheid fighter, who was also a human rights activist. Then we see the Nelson Mandela who emerges from Long Walk to Freedom is considerably more human than the icon of legend. Written in New York Times Book Review. Another remark, a true gem, a wonderful journey worth taking. Portland, Oregonian. Enthralling, Mandela emulates the few great political leaders, such as Lincoln and Gandhi, who go beyond mere consensus and move out ahead of their followers to break new ground, says Donald Woods in the Sunday Times. Some more remarks for you on the book Long Walk to Freedom, dear students. Let's see. To read of Nelson Mandela's fascinating journey is to be reminded of the indomitable human spirit. It tells us the indomitable human spirit. Yet the reminder is delivered with such grace and subtlety that it intensifies its meaning. Written in San Diego Union Tribune. This book should be on your must-read list. In a world hungry for heroes and role models, there is one to be found here in Nelson Mandela. Edmonton Journal. A serious account of a life and a cause. Nelson Mandela fought for a cause, Wonderful insight into the man who is his country's combined Washington, Lincoln, and Gandhi. Montreal Gazette. One of the most extraordinary political tales of the 20th century, and well worth the investment for anyone truly interested in the genesis of greatness, says Patty Waldmeyer in the Financial Times. So these are few remarks, comments on the book Long Walk to Freedom made by some famous personalities, or written in newspapers and magazines. The students, now we will know overview of the book Long Walk to Freedom. General description of the book Long Walk to Freedom. In the first part of the autobiography, Mandela describes his upbringing as a child and adolescent in South Africa, and being connected to the royal Tambo dynasty. His childhood name was Kholesasa, which is loosely translated as pulling the branch of tree, or a euphemism for troublemaker. So, in the first part of the book, Nelson Mandela describes his early childhood, his adolescence period, his youth, and his connection to the royal Tambo dynasty, etc. He also says us his childhood name was Kolosasa, which is loosely translated as pulling the branch of a tree. In other words, a troublemaker. Mandela then describes his education at a Thembu college called Clarkberry, and later at the strict Hilltown School, where students are rigorously put in routines. He mentions his education at the University of Fort Hare and his practice of law later on. He also then writes, democracy meant all men to be heard, and decision was taken together as people. Majority rule was a foreign notion. A minority was not to be classed by a majority. In the second part of the book, Mandela introduces political and social aspects of apartheid in South Africa and the influences of politicians such as Daniel Francois Malan, who implemented the Nadir of African freedoms, as he officially commenced the apartheid policies in South Africa. Mandela joined the African National Congress in 1950 and describes his organization of guerrilla tactics and underground organizations to battle against apartheid. Nelson Mandela, in his second part of the book, tells us about the political and social aspects of apartheid in South Africa. He mentions Daniel Francois Malan, who commenced the apartheid policies in South Africa. He also tells his joining in African National Congress in 1950 and his struggle against apartheid policy in South Africa. Overview continued. In 1961, Mandela was convicted for inciting people to strike and leaving the country without a passport and sentenced to 5 years imprisonment. However, Mandela was shortly thereafter sentenced to life imprisonment for sabotage in what was known as the Rivonia trial. In Rivonia trial, Nelson Mandela was sentenced to life imprisonment for sabotage by Justice Dr. Quartus Dewitt instead of a possible death sentence. So he was given life imprisonment instead of a possible death sentence by Justice Dr. Quartus Dewitt in Rivonia trial. Mandela describes prison time on Robben Island and Portsmouth prison. His 28-year tenure in prison was marked by the cruelty of Afrikaner guards, backbreaking labor, and sleeping in minuscule cells which were nearly uninhabitable. He tells us his horrible experience while he was in narrow prison cell on Robben Island. Unlike his biographer Anthony Sampson, Mandela does not accuse the warder James Gregory of fabricating a friendship with his prisoner. Gregory's book, Goodbye Bafana, discussed Mandela's family life and described Gregory as a close personal friend of Mandela. According to Mandela, the authorized biography, Gregory's position was to censor the letters delivered to the future president, and he thereby discovered the details of Mandela's personal life, which he then made money from by means of his book, Goodbye Bafana. He mentions James Gregory, who wrote a book on Nelson Mandela named Goodbye Bafana. He made money by publishing this book. Mandela considered suing Gregory for this breach of trust. In Long Walk to Freedom, Mandela remarks of Gregory only that Mandela says about Gregory, I had not known him terribly well, but he knew us because he had been responsible for reviewing our incoming and outgoing mail. Whatever, Later on, in his sentence, Mandela met South African President Frederick William de Klerk and was released from prison in 1990. Mandela met with Frederick William de Klerk. They negotiated to end apartheid from South Africa, and Nelson Mandela was released unconditionally in 1990. Unlike his friend Anthony Sampson's account, Mandela's book does not discuss the alleged complicity of de Klerk in the violence of the 80s and 90s, or the role of his ex-wife Winnie Mandela in that bloodshed. Mandela became the president of South Africa in 1994. In the later part of the book, Mandela says us his negotiations with the leaders of South Africa, the other leaders of the South Africa President Frederick William de Klerk, and they negotiated to end apartheid from South Africa. For this, Nelson Mandela and de Klerk got Nobel Peace Prize in 1993. And Mandela also mentions his becoming of South Africa's first black president in 1994. Now, reception. Dear students, after the publication of the book Long Walk to Freedom in 1994, it got a great reception. The book won the Alan Paton Award in 1995 and has been published in numerous languages, including in an Afrikaans translation by Antje Krol. Film adaptation. Long Walk to Freedom has been adapted into a film titled Mandela Long Walk to Freedom that was released in 2013. Directed by Justin Chadwick, written by William Nicholson, and produced by Anant Singh. English actor Idris Elba portrays Mandela in the film Mandela Long Walk to Freedom. Yes, students, now I am going to show you the sources and references of the book from which I have collected my information. You can see the source and reference books. Thank you, dear students. Thank you very much for joining in my class. You know, I want to take a few classes on Long Walk to Freedom. I hope you will join in my class.